And we're just getting started. I'm going to share my screen. Nice to see you all here. Happy Friday. Hope you made it through the week okay. Super excited that Scott was able to spend some time with you yesterday. That is awesome. And it looks like I've got everything up on my chart that I want mostly. I think I got it. So last night I did a presentation together with my friend Marquet, and everything that you saw in that presentation will be sending you those ideas. There's some super exciting things coming your way where we put that thing together within like 4 days to get it out to the public. So little by little, you'll be hearing more from me and her about that stuff that's going on. But today I wanted to help you set up the charts so that you could start looking at some of the stuff that we talked about last night and identify some of those same patterns that we talked about last night. And then we're just going to sort of sign off here after looking at a few things. So Ken said it was an amazing presentation. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. She's an excellent trader, and yeah, she's fantastic. But once again, as with everything else, when I find a trade together with Marquet that fits those parameters that we talked about, I'll talk about it here. And I'll be talking about it here before it goes out to anybody else. So and when we meet up for lunch or whatever, I'll make sure that you get an invite and make sure that you know where we're meeting and how to get there and all that other stuff too. So looking forward to bringing you the best of what I'm able to bring you. And that's not the last of it. We're also going to introduce everybody to a guy named Mike Bernick, who has done some of the best work in publishing newsletters. And once again, everything that he talks about and everything that we do together, I'll make sure that you get a hold of that as well. So, like I said, hang in there. You're going to get it. I think sometimes it's difficult to know, like, okay, so you talk about this, you talk about that, which is the most important thing. Once again, that's the reason I love to do these calls, is because I want to let you know exactly what is the most important stuff. And so with that said, I think that every Friday we're going to be looking at one or two things that she talks about. And last night we talked about, inside of that session, we talked about the fact that her system and my system kind of line up really nicely. And so today I just wanted to give you one example of what that looks like. And then, we'll move on to looking at some of the things that we're doing. So this is VXRT, of course, that didn't really move as fast or as far as we hoped that it would. And you can see down here, there's a profit circle. But what the price is doing is it's moving up above the 10-period exponential moving average. It's got the profit circle, and then it comes down to rest on it with a bullish candle. And then over a 5 or 6 day period of time stays on that moving average. And any of those days is a completely reasonable entry for a buy. But the real confirmation comes when it bursts upward over here. That's pretty much the retirement pattern, with, of course, the scan that she does for the instruments that she's the most interested in. And I love scans. Like, I want more scans. I want more instruments in our scan. And so one of the best things that we're going to get out of this is that we're going to get a list of like 200 more stocks that we can look at, and ETFs. And these tier 2 ETFs are right here. I'm going to pull them up today, but we'll be talking about those much more. So there's about, I don't remember, 10, 15 or so of those. EFA, SMH, which is just doing the pattern. It's just producing that. We're going to see if that lasts. This is the semiconductor one. So, oh my gosh, is that even possible for semiconductors to recover? We'll be talking more about that. The regional banking ETF is just popping back above the moving average. Silver just popping back above the moving average, and silver in some ways could have the biggest recovery. So there's a bunch of these that are just coming back above that moving average. The high yield, there's no way I'm buying high yield bonds or junk bonds, but technology, and XLV is the healthcare ETF, so that's possibly super interesting. And then there's some wild ones like the SQQQ and the SPXU, and we'll talk more about those later and whatnot. But they do occasionally just line up. Like, we jump above the 10, we come back down to rest on it, and that's the pattern. And then we print a bullish candle that confirms the move, and then it takes off. So we will be talking about that pattern. I will definitely bring her on to talk to just all of you to answer questions in a special session. But we'll add some of this to what we do. So yeah, and remember, it has to jump with some volume as well. That's totally correct, Sue. And these aren't like the great thing about this is going to add at the most 1 or 2 or 3 trades at the most per month for us. So it's not going to start causing us to, go off in a different direction that distracts us. It lines up with some of the stuff we're already looking at. It's a little bit longer term, so the trades are intended to be stayed in for a longer period of time. There's so many neat things about that. So I am going to rename this chart the Marquet chart and save it, and then we'll come back to it on a daily basis. It'll be something that we look at on a daily basis, and we're going to fill in the watch list with some instruments that she recommends that we fill it in with over the course of the next few days. I wanted to look at a bunch of stuff here as the market is about to open. Of course, we've got a lot going on. I'm so happy you got a chance to meet with Scott yesterday. It was a super busy day for me, but just having a little bit of a break to kind of clear my mind and look at some stocks and look at some currencies and whatever else was amazing. I just wanted to put volatility on this scan or on this chart. So volatility is back down below the 10. And so really interesting conversation with Marquet about it. She was like, well, why wouldn't you consider, if it stays below the 10 and it prints a bearish profit circle, why wouldn't you consider a put on the VXX? Why would you automatically tell some story about how volatility is going to increase again and blah, blah, blah? And I thought, that's actually, I don't really have an argument for that. So I'm going to sort of leave this one a little bit more open, and having a day to think about it yesterday really cleared my mind about it. Maybe we do have a push higher. I did some calculations with Stephen Place yesterday, and he said, do you know the S&P 500 would have to move 20% lower just to get the VIX back to where it was at the highs? Because of the way that it's structured, the market would have to move a giant amount more just to get it back to where it was before. And in other words, sideways or downward is just as likely or more likely for the VIX as upward is. So I found that really interesting. Tupperware had a nice day yesterday, but just peaking above that 10 period moving average on the daily. So that could be interesting. So here's our regular old chart. It could be printing a bullish profit circle reasonably soon. I like Tupperware. It's a magic formula investing stock. It does have cash. It does have profits. It has had problems. It's a broken stock with perhaps the possibility of some significant movement in our favor. I love H&R Block for when things get back to normal and people want to get their refunds and their rebates. I love it. They're going to be a central clearinghouse for that kind of thing. I absolutely love it. But this time, let's wait for the bullish profit circle. I still think BCRX is going to be a gigantic move. I still think OMI, medical supply company, I think that it's amazing. I think that has tons of potential. AbbVie is actually one of the instruments that Marquet and I looked at yesterday. The healthcare play, the pharmaceutical play, the fact that it got broken down, even though they have tons of cash and tons of drugs in the pipeline. VXRT is super interesting on these charts. Swinging back and forth between the 10 moving average. But if that published a bullish profit circle in the trend above the 10, that could be a really beautiful trade. So I have a chance to sort of get back the money and get my revenge. Blue Apron, this is the one I really wanted to look at today together with you. Check it out. It's already there. It's already done it. So this will go out as what I think is the quick ride, the quick profits trade. It's above the 10. It printed the bullish profit circle. It's printing these confirmation candles. It's moving along. I just absolutely love this chart. And on top of that, it's looking like what we said we like, right? Jumps up, comes down to rest on a weekly pivot. It's really, it's just, I do really, really like it. And it may even print a bullish profit circle on the 60-minute chart as well. And food delivery services seems like a play that we could get into, and it probably will report some pretty great earnings. Here's Novavax, NIO. I'm betting that NIO is also looking pretty good. Not as good as Blue Apron, but back above the 10. Could it print a bullish profit circle? Could we get some volume to go along with that, Sue? That would cause me to want to get in. BNTX is a little bit expensive and it's not really optionable. So although it looks neat, it's not going to really ever end up in a trade. BioAmerica, BMRA, kind of fits into the same category of these stocks that are staying above the 10 on the daily, could print a bullish profit circle. And they look like these second leg bullish moves that we like so much. And then there's good old CVS. What a day yesterday it was with CVS. This is one that she told me about 3 days ago when she was just about to come into town. And I love it. I think that the fundamentals here are great. The fact that they're hiring more people is great. I went to CVS yesterday. Looks great. There's people in the stores. They're filling tons of prescriptions. I asked the manager, I'm like, what's it like? And they said, it's been super busy and we have stuff that grocery stores don't have. And I love it. I love the play. I love the bullish divergence. I love the fact that we're going to get a bullish profit circle on this. And what I did with CVS was I looked at that 10 moving average and it's just bursting above that 10 moving average. And so that's the early entry. But then there's this possibility that it prints a bullish profit circle and confirmation candles, and the volume is moving upward. It's a really neat trade. So I still own the June $55 calls, and that trade today is still profitable. Sue, I think staying in VXRT, honestly, is and was probably the right call. I actually think, and I wanted to talk about that. I mean, I don't think it's moved very far against anyone. And if you're kind of heavy into it, you could always reduce the size of the position. But the play is still valid. I mean, it's still a pretty neat looking chart. Sue says, following you, Rob, has been really bad for me, so I'm kind of doing my own thing. Okay, I love it. That's great. So the Dow's going to fall on the open. It's going to continue to fall on the open. Volatility should jump a bit. I think that's perfectly fine. We would expect you can't have 3 or 4 plus bullish days in a row. That's just not going to happen. It's normal to have some bouncing around now, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So the next trade for me coming up is within the next few days, Blue Apron. I'm pretty much ready to say Blue Apron looks great now. I like the idea that we could look at the options chain. I love CVS. I don't have anything else to say about that except for everything I have already said in taking that. The options prices for Blue Apron, if we got to look at, the July ones. We talked about these the other day. The Blue Apron's trading around 11, right? $11. The bid and the ask can be pretty wide, but it's not horrible. The open interest, it's not bad, especially for those. We're not going to go out there and buy 4 billion of these contracts. I think it's a good play here. And when I'm ready to go ahead and pull the trigger on it, I will let you know inside of our coaching Telegram messenger. I love you too, Sue. We're so on the same page. Jeff bought about 75 VIX calls yesterday, looking like it was a good decision. Great. There will be a link, Brian, to rewatch that presentation last night for sure. And thanks, Jeff, for calling that out. So Jeff's long volatility again. And it looks like that was a pretty neat play to take. I'm holding back for the most part on the volatility one, but I'm not saying I couldn't get back in at some point in time. Like I said, it's nice to have a little bit of a break for me. Even one day filled my mind with some possibilities for us on Blue Apron, and like NIO and NVAX and BMRA. And then Vaxart. I think Sue. Look, on a day when the S&P 500 or the Dow falls 800 points or whatever on the open, this isn't going anywhere. It's a good thing. Like, that's a neat thing that it's not really moving in the wrong direction or whatnot. So I like it. I'd love to see some volume upward. I'd love to see that. Oh boy, Lloyd says they sanitized the office next to him. His coworker was infected. So Lloyd, I hope you're okay. Hope they can let you stay at home a bit. All right, that's it for right now. I'm gonna head out. I will stay in touch with you about Blue Apron if I pull the trigger on that, and we'll set up a time for Marquet to jump on and say hi to everybody in the next couple of weeks, and share some more about the way that her charts get set up. And I'll be back on Monday, and I've already created the link for next month. Woohoo! And I'll send that link out for next month's calls, so that we're all ready to go for next week. And I hope you have a good weekend with your family. I hope you get some rest. I hope you have enough of what you need, and I hope we get some super giant positivity on some of these trades that we've been looking forward to, because it's time. I think we got the next leg of the good stuff coming. Okay, everybody, I'll talk to you real soon. Bye for now.